Sebentar ku pulang, cari rezeki sebentar untuk aku bawa pulang. Untuk keluargaku saja sanggup, biar ku tak makan. Jadi terasa senang walaupun banyak yang kurang. Asa ku rasa tenang. Sebentar ku pulang, cari rezeki sebentar untuk aku bawa pulang. Untuk keluargaku saja sanggup, biar ku tak makan. Jadi terasa senang walaupun banyak yang kurang. Asa ku rasa tenang.
Hello, what's up? What? Today got meeting?
Oh no, ada presentation pula. Aduh, apalah dia orang kan?
Okay, bro. I will answer the meeting right now. Wait for me, okay?
Really lah at this time got presentation.
Oi, still no one here. They're always late. I am always the first one to come to the meeting. Why like that? They need to be more sharp lah. There you are. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, guys. Wait. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Is my connection okay?
Oh, yes. We can hear you. But I want to ask, what is our agenda for today meeting?
We are here to discuss about the upcoming presentation. Tomorrow we have a presentation, you know.
Wait. What subject? I forgot. On what topic?
Alah Azam, seblack subject man. The subject that everyone accepted except us.
Oh, the topic about effective teaching and effective learning, right?
Yalah, so we need to discuss about what we are going to present today.
But Emma, where are you? Why so noisy
No lah, I'm at the PWTC to get my vaccination done. Now, I'm on my way back home. Stop talking about me. Now, focus on our presentation. What is the first thing we're gonna present?
I think we need to start with best practice of teaching first. Also, by telling our class, what is the effective teaching.
Alright. Effective teaching can be defined as teaching that successfully achieve the learning by students intended by the teacher.
So Emma, what are the important elements of effective teaching
Very easy. There are two important but simple elements of effective teaching. Firstly, the teacher must have a clear idea of what learning is to be fostered. Secondly, a learning experience that is set up and delivered must achieve learning outcomes.
Oh, so Emma, what are the characteristics that students typically associate with an effective teacher?
There are three characteristics. Firstly, teacher who creates a well-ordered learning environment. Secondly, teacher who explains the work you have to do and helps students with it. And lastly, teacher who is friendly and supportive. I mean, who doesn't love teacher who are friendly, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, Emma. In addition, good teachers are often described by students as making use of variety of teaching methods and learning activity.
Yes, teachers nowadays need to use a range of skills to maintain students' interest and manage the lessons so students are kept engaged in what teachers want them to do.
Oh, I see. Is there any best practice for effective teaching?
Yes, of course, there are several best practice of effective teaching. The first one is teacher clarity.
Oh, do you mean teacher need to be transparent in teaching?
Yep. Clarity in teaching can be defined as a state in which a teacher is able to transmit the information and knowledge of a subject matter that he or she is in command of. For instance, teacher A, who is a mathematics teacher, is supposed to be able to teach differentiation and algebra successfully.
What can a teacher do to achieve this clarity in teaching?
The clarity in teaching can be achieved by clarifying the purpose and the learning outcomes when a new chapter of a subject begins. In Malaysian education system, each chapter has a set of learning standards and also descriptors for each performance level to indicate the performance standards.
Yup. And I want to add that clarity is one of the main effective teaching dimension. According to Feldman in 1997, a review summarizing a research on teacher clarity concluded that there is growing evidence that that clarity of explanation may be the requisite of effective teaching.
Wow, I know that it is crucial for teachers to be transparent in teaching, but I never knew that it could influence effective teaching as well. What is the next best practice, Emma?
The next best practice of effective teaching is encourage classroom discussion. Does anyone have any idea what classroom discussion is?
I am. Okay, classroom discussion is a method of teaching that involves the entire class in a discussion. Teachers can step off stage and let the students get together to discuss an important issues.
Yup. And yes, although the teacher steps off stage, teachers also can facilitate the entire discussion. This allows students to learn from each other and encourage the student-centered approach, which has been introduced through KSSI and KSSM.
Good. Besides, discussion improves students' communication skills, which allows them to voice their opinions and thoughts. Don't forget that teachers also can benefit through this classroom discussion as it allows teachers to see if students have learned the concepts that are being taught. It is a great opportunity for teachers to formatively assess while observing students grasping new contents and concepts. And also through discussion, students are exposed to a variety of opinions and ideas that may or may not be similar to their own. And classrooms offer a perfect forum for teaching students to respect others and learn to share information, agree and disagree in a productive and non-threatening fashion.
Yes, yes, yes. And I also think one of the best practices in teaching is by providing frequent and timely feedback. Why it is important? Because feedback will help learner efficiently direct their attention and energies, help them avoid major errors, and keeps them from learning things they later will have to unlearn at great cost. Along with individual feedback, either with written or verbal, teachers also need to provide whole group feedback and on patterns they see in the collective class growth and areas of needs. And students also need to be given opportunities to provide feedback to the teacher. So that she can adjust the learning process material and instruction accordingly.
Hmm, I agree. Can I add one point? Okay, another way to make teaching better is by providing formative assessment.
Yeah. How is it, Faiz?
Okay, let me explain. Formative assessment are just simple assessment that need to be done frequently, even if you finish one subtopic, to get direct feedback from your students. This can help you as a teacher know directly which part of your students are weak and strong.
But Faiz, if let's say, it's like I don't want to finish one subtopic yet, but I want to assess them. Can Faiz?
It is better. You and even your student can specifically know where their strengths and weaknesses are. Okay, for example, you finish explaining about part of circle. So, you ask your student to draw all 6 parts of the circle, just to know whether they understand or not about the topic.
I get it. It is ongoing feedback while the process of teaching and learning. So we can focus more on the part that our students are weak, right?
That is correct, Emma.
Now I agree with you, Faiz. And I think by involving technology in teaching also is one of the best practice where it is a great way to actively engage students.
Wait. Why did you say that?
Yalah, for me, nowadays most students are already have their own gadget phone. As you can see, today generation is familiar with phones, tablets, and laptop. Therefore, by using those gadgets in classroom, teacher can introduce interactive online games like Kahoot, quizzes for their students to learn faster and interact more. Don't you agree with me?
How could you tell this game will improve student knowledge?
Actually, this game is not like other casual games. It's actually educational games, which function as a platform for students to polish their skill by engaging them in a game module where they solve questions and puzzles, all the while fighting battles and competing with their peers. Hmm.
I see. If you say like that, how can teachers monitor student progress while in learning while they are playing the games?
Aha. I think like that too at the first place. But after I try to understand the pattern of the games, I think I understand how.
Huh? Really? Tell us please, boy. Tell us please.
Yes, man. Okay. Actually, most of educational game created will provide teacher with a dashboard to assist them in tracking their student progress and engagement with the game. This dashboard help teachers to create assignment for students, monitor their daily progress, and understand where the individuals is struggling.
Oh, I see. After that, so we can explain to them about effective learning.
I agree, but what is effective learning yet?
Faiz. We know that learning is an activity of the acquisition of knowledge or skill through study or experience or being taught. So effective learning is all of these at their very best. Plus the monitoring and reviewing of whether approaches and strategies are proving effective for the particular goals and context. And also Faiz, listen to this. Effective learning includes this extra crucial ingredient which actively involve the student in metacognitive processes of planning, monitoring, and reflecting. Hmm.
Oh wow! I'm so excited to know what are the outcome of effective learning. Can you explain?
Let me explain about it. There are so many outcomes from effective learning, such as students have more connected knowledge, wider range of strategies for teachers, greater complexity of understanding, enhanced action appropriate to goals and context, increased engagement and self-direction among students, more reflective approach, more positive emotions and affiliation to learning, more developed vision of future self as a learner, greater facility in learning with others, and lastly, more sense of participation in a knowledge community.
I see. Thank you, Emma. Because I just read that the teaching learning process for effective learning is produced by activity with reflection and sense making. Also, collaborations for learning, responsibility for learning, and last but not least is learning about learning. Did you know, guys? Did you know that teaching learning process for effective learning promote collaboration and active learning? Let me explain about collaborative 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 learning first. Sorry, I'm very excited to tell you guys. Okay,
It's
from what
okay, it's
I
okay.
okay, from what I had read, when students together with their peers to create a joint product and understanding, they will develop high order skill. This is because if you notice that you will learn more even when collaborating, because if you explain to people what to do, you will say things that you won't say to yourself. So you will learn things that you won't know if you were just doing it by yourself. Do you get it? Okay. Moreover, cooperative culture and group investigation method give better academic result. Students develop interpersonal and management skill and improve communication skill and positive multi-ethnic relation. Let's move to second, active learning. What they mean by active learning is where active engagement with materials, persons, and ideas is needed, with active reflection, inquiries, and sense making. Active learning is an approach to instruction that involves actively engaging students with the course material through discussion, problem solving, case study, role play, and others methods. Also, active learning approach place a greater degree of responsibility on the student than passive approach such as teaching session. But still, teachers' guidance is still crucial in the active learning classroom. That's all.
Wow. Wow. You are very smart, Azam. It's like you know so much about this topic, eh? Yes, Azam, I agree with you, but I want to add some point that is teaching learning processes for effective learning. It will also promote responsibility in learning and promoting learning about learning. Promoting responsibility in learning, which learners who see themselves as key players in their learning are not only more self-directed, they are also more collaborative while promoting learning about learning. Learners will build out the language and piece together knowledge about their learning experience, become more reflective, strategic, and versatile, and show improvement in academic performance. We can know that when classroom practices which promote learning about learning, they will include making learning an object of attention, making learning an object of conversation, an object of reflection, and also an object of learning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a question, but it's quite tough. I hope you can answer me. Does it have any framework for planning and reviewing the teaching learning cycle for effective learning?
Oh, easy question. Actually, it's a good question, Faiz. You guys can refer to this table. They divide the framework with very specifically starting with do, review, learn, and apply.
Wow, it's very detailed because I know that learner characteristics for effective learning are students that active and strategic, that equip skill in cooperation, dialogue, and creating knowledge with others. Also, they able to develop goals and plan. And lastly, they can monitor her and his own learning and is versatile across contexts.
Do you guys have any ideas on how we can move towards more effective learning in our classroom?
Okay, I have an idea. Okay, for more events for me, even a simple change in learning can make it effective. Okay, how? Okay, when teachers believe that changes are necessary, even a little one can help make a significant difference towards the quality of learning. Okay, for example, rather than the teacher doing all the example or exercise at the front better by calling the student to do it. At the same time, we can make teaching and learning have two-ways communication and can see the usual mistakes made by students.
Yes, it will save our time and student will do the exercise because they are afraid to be called to the front to do the exercise.
Besides, students can help each other if they give a wrong answer. Hmm.
In addition to making learning more effective, sometimes we can do something against the flow, or it is called working against the grain. Rather than achieve understanding of students that is hard to gain, we can focus on performance. Okay, the goal is the same, to make students perform well in examination, especially when we have a short time.
Oh, wow, wow. So it's like making students remember the steps and formula rather than explaining to make them understand like that.
Yes, yeah. We also could resolve the tensions. Teachers may experience some of the tensions of teaching more intensely than before when they depart from the traditional assumptions and views of learning that influence their role.
Is that so? Then what are the contribution of effective learning in this situation?
Effective learning suggests resolving the tensions as responsibility for students' performance in which teacher authority and teaching decisions are based according on their knowledge of students as learners. And teachers do have agency. Furthermore, knowledge is constructed and teaching is a matter of creating an environment to focus on learning. Being a teacher is a professional culture, which means teaching has a professional voice and is a collegiate activity.
That's a good insight, Emma. Then, how about some teachers who are rushing to catch up with the syllabus? I don't think that it is effective.
Yes, it is true, Azam. This kind of teachers may have failed to notice the current divergence. In times of pressure to produce quick results, it is understandable that some will seek to accelerate learning. This stance is more often about teaching than learning. It may not be effective learning.
Why did you say so?
Because the rise in interest in learning styles is understandable in a time when it appears knowledgeable to categorize. Although this can help teachers expand their repertoire, it may not help learners expand their range of voice in the learning process.
Oh, I see. Okay, now let's talk about transfer of learning and knowledge practice, which is one factor in effective teaching and learning. Do you have any idea what this is about?
Okay, guys, let me talk first. From what I understand, transfer is a connective practice whereby a learner mastery of knowledge or skill in one context enables them to apply that knowledge or skill in different contexts. Can you guys get it?
Oh, for easy understanding, actually the meaning of transfer learning is referring to learning in one context and applying it to another.
Yes, it's true, Emma. As far as I know, there are three types of transfer learning, which is positive transfer, negative transfer, and natural transfer. Are you guys familiar with this type of transfer? Can I ask each of you guys opinion according to this type of transfer of learning?
I will start with negative transfer. May I? Okay.
Okay, proceed.
In the teaching and learning process, we need to avoid negative transfer because it can make students confused and reduce their productivity.
Wait, Faiz. What is negative transfer?
Okay, good question. Negative transfer is interference of the previous knowledge with the new learning. Okay, for example, in mathematics, we usually understand that more than zero is positive or bigger than lower than zero. Yes? So, but in the maximum and minimum point, when we do second degree of integration, if the value more than zero or positive, we will get minimum point and vice versa. So we need to find a way to make student not confused.
Oh, it's like showing thumbs up in Iran, right?
Why is it azam?
Because as we usually understand, showing showing thumbs up means good, right? Or something positive. But in Iran, it's like giving a middle finger. You know?
Oh, I I just know just now. I know just now. Oh, do you know that natural transfer is known as zero transfer?
Oh, really? Why is it called that?
Because when learning of one activity neither facilitates nor hinder the learning of another task, it is a case of natural transfer. For example, knowledge of history in no way affect learning of driving car or riding a scooter. No related at all.
Oh, I see. I can understand. So, Ems, do you have any idea what is actually positive transfer?
Hi, Faiz. Positive transfer. Okay. When learning in one situation facilitates learning in another situation, it is known as positive transfer. Do you know? For example, skills in playing violin facilitate learning to play piano. Knowledge of mathematics facilitates learning physics in a better way. Riding a scooter facilitates in riding a motorbike.
Basically, transfer function in a variety of ways. So, hey, don't disturb me.
Who is it? Who is
So,
it?
that's my sister.
I see,
So
I
I
see.
continue.
Okay,
So
can go.
we as a future teacher should be aware of negative transfer knowledge or the application of misunderstood information and concept when learning new knowledge. Teachers can detect possible negative transfer by assessing student prior knowledge. Ah,
Oh. So, guys, can you recommend the best way to improve transfer learning and knowledge practice in effective learning and teaching?
Oh, okay. I have an idea. Like for me, we need to take time to reflect and self explain.
Oh, care to care to explain about it, Emma? Little bit.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Before you can transfer knowledge to new context, right? You need to understand the concept inside and out, which is why it's important to take time for reflection and self explanation. Research shows that self explanation can help you to identify any incorrect assumptions, lead to a deeper understanding of the material, and ultimately promote knowledge transfer. So, when you are learning about something that's completely new to you, take a moment to think about how you would explain it in your own words, whether this means using simpler words that are easier for you to remember or finding a way to connect the new information to something you already know by using real world examples.
Oh, got it. Like provide a roadmap with links. What I mean is student will be more engaged when instructor provide a clear sense of direction for intended learning by making intellectual links between segments of class or asking student to articulate the relationship between previous class and a current class. Instructors also shows how knowledge operates in more than one context and give student practice charting their learning beyond single context.
Agreed. Okay, I want to add another way. So another way to facilitate the transfer of learning to new context is to use many different learning media as possible, from text to imaginary to video and audio. So at the same time, we can tackle VAK on students.
Wait. VAK, let me remember back. Is it visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, right?
Yes, very clever boy.
Okay.
Okay, besides, studies show that using image and text can reduce the burden on our mind rather than just talk, and it also can improve learning transfer.
Yeah lah. Nowadays we have many sources to find videos, picture for learning purposes, right?
Yes, we have TED Talk, YouTube, and even TikTok that have infinitely educational materials.
Hmm. I have another point. From what I have read, maybe the teacher can give more focus on the core concept. This is because students are able to transfer their knowledge more effectively when they understand the principle that organize, guide, and explain content and skills.
But Azam, how can teachers play their role in that situation?
Okay, actually, teacher can develop activity that connects dots to deeper relationship, their function or similar organization principle. So, with a strong conceptual framework, rather than memorizing facts or a series of lecture notes, students are able to recognize concepts that operate to similar concepts and organize knowledge as a functional part of the whole.
Oh, alright. So now we have done best practice of teaching, best practice of learning, and transfer of learning and knowledge. For the last part of our presentation, we need to describe about classroom management issues. Based on what I remember from last semester, classroom management implies the effective and efficient utilization of all resources available to the classroom environment in order to ultimately achieve the goals and objectives of teaching and learning process in schools.
I agree. Okay, now let's talk about effective classroom. The first strategy that we need is to spend some time to properly plan our lesson.
Do you mean lesson plan?
Yes, that's it. So, when we plan what we want to do in detail until you can imagine what will happen in the class, especially the flow and time, if we plan all this properly, we will make our teaching and learning more effective.
Yes, yes,
Wait,
yes.
wait, yeah, wait, yeah.
I
I agree with
oh
Faz's point.
sorry.
If our flow of teaching is smooth, it will make our student more focused and understand the topic. Do you agree? Yeah.
I also agree your statement. Faiz statement also I agree because I got a teacher in the past where sometimes he explained about A, then suddenly he moved to B, then moved back to A. He made all the students confused and lost interest towards learning.
Oh, who is it? Oh, it's okay. Just skip it. Just skip it. That is what I'm afraid of. Yeah.
Yalah. I also can remember that one teacher in my mind. So I think strategies for effective classroom management is by use of appropriate instructional materials. Instructional materials are tools used by the classroom teachers to help foster learning among students. Example of instructional materials include graphic organizer, textbook, workbook, etc. It is important for teacher to use relevant material that will impact on the students.
Moreover, don't you guys think that we as a teacher need to be friend with all students? Yeah, I know that we need to have some limitation and boundaries for students to have respect for us. But there must be a way to be friend with them, which is a method of strategy for creating bonding with our students. Hmm.
So what do you think is the best way to engage with students?
Personally, I got some idea. My idea is the teacher cannot be boring, something like that lah.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. There are some way to be more fun. Firstly, teacher can make the time in class to have conversation with their student. We should teach. Why should teaching be so passive? Sometimes we need to be to engage, try to engage with student in casual conversation. Like you can exchange idea with your student, and not only you have a mind. Besides that, teacher can also laugh at student joke. I think this is one of the best way to ensure teacher and student have fun and enjoy each one another. As a result, I believe that students will enjoy the class more, which allows students to learn more effectively.
Yes. Also, having friendly teacher make the task for student going to school less painful, right?
I agree with you, Faiz. A good teacher must be a good leader. To be friendly with the student, we cannot have and show any discrimination or special preference to any student. We need to be fair. We must treat all students equally, irrespective of their background. What do you think? Hmm.
Yeah, true. I second that. And it is also the teacher's responsibility to provide a safe and comfortable classroom climate and avoid the use of threats. Do you know the current issue that is circulating all over social media right now?
You are talking about an issue, right?
Yes, that issue. Her PE teacher was supposed to teach regarding sex education. However, throughout his lesson, he inserted rape jokes in which the male teacher had made the comment as the topic of sexual harassment was being discussed. Ain was disgusted and uncomfortable with his teacher's remarks. I quote, "If you want to rape someone, make sure they are above 18." I mean, what on earth is this teacher is thinking?
Ish. So bad, so
What
bad,
kind
so
of
bad.
teacher lah that?
Ish.
Yeah, and I, as a woman, the only woman in this group, really despise this culture that seems normal among men. Rape is a heinous crime. Rape culture affects every woman. The rape of one woman is a degradation, terror, and limitation to all women. Most women and girls limit their behavior because of the existence of rape. What the teacher did is called sexually explicit jokes, which is so unprofessional for a teacher to do. The male teacher has failed in providing a safe and comfortable classroom climate, which resulted in what happens now. Students, girls especially, see school as their safe place, the place they gain knowledge. And how are they supposed to feel safe when this kind of teacher exists?
Yeah. And no matter what gender, especially I am a man, also very strongly agree, with
Wow.
you, Emma. Uh, because I also receive threats and is afraid to return to school, is it? Due to being threatened by her male classmate. Mm-mm-mm. She also received a warning expulsion from school, isn't it?
Yeah, despite being threatened and the backlash she received, she never stops to create awareness. However, she is now afraid to go to school and her rights to learn have been hindered as she is at risk of being expelled. From my point of view, all teachers at her school have failed in protecting young women like Ain and all women in this country. As you can see, the use of threat on students could create fear in the student. This could lower his or her self-confidence, which could affect his or her learning in school.
Hashtag make school a safer place. I hope we will be a good teacher, especially a male teacher, right? I think, okay, enough with that. I know everyone is angry. I think we can also tell the class about classroom management challenges. Let me give you one example of challenge that I face is unfinished homework.
Me
Yeah,
too.
me
Yeah, you
too.
same with me.
It's just like us in school. But unfinished homework can ruin our plan. When students do not do their homework, they will not know which part they will not understand, and worse, when the next topic is related to the previous one. And sometimes we need to re-explain the previous topic if the student did not do the homework.
It will take some time to explain, right?
And affect student who already understand the previous topic. Ha ha ha. It reminds me during my school year. My school struggle with high noise level. When young learners are so infamous for being particularly noisy and loud, but a big class for adult class talking at the same time also send the noise level through the roof until the roof can hear their voice. How can you manage the noise level when you have students working together in small group? Here's where the seating arrangement comes in. Have students form small cluster with their desks where they all facing each other, encourage them to speak softly, or have groups scattered throughout the classroom in small cluster on the floor.
I understand. Sometimes I feel most of the teacher have this kind of situation where the challenge is balancing diverse learning needs.
What? Oh, why do you say like that, Azam?
This challenge could be in any school, which different students have their optimum learning method. Some will learn pretty fast when they read the text, while others prefer to listen to the teacher. There is yet another group of students that will need a practical demonstration for whatever they have learned to state. The teacher is left with the difficult task of finding the balance that will be favorable to every student.
Wow. It's so challenging for teacher to adapt in the classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is so challenging tau for every teacher. You know that the term knowing your student is often used. I don't deny that the fact that coming to know your students is challenging for an educator, particularly if the student is having difficulty with their schoolwork. So nowadays teacher come out with different strategies to satisfy student that needs a lot of creativity and diverse strategies, which in turn require additionally preparation time. However, once the teacher learns to deal with the situation from there, of course, this will be an empowering experience for the teacher career and also for the good of the class.
Oh, interesting your school. So what's more? What else do we need to present?
Once more, I think it is enough lah. It's already so much we need to explain.
Yes, because only today, we already explained about best practice teaching, best practice learning, transfer learning, and also classroom management issues. Already a lot. They will take time to adapt.
Okay lah. I think this is enough for our presentation for tomorrow. So I think see you guys in the class and don't disturb me, okay?
Okay, bye.
Shalom.
Bye bye.